Hey, what's up guys? Garrett here. I am here to talk today about my most recent experience at the Layton Gaming GT hosted by Away Games. It was 5 rounds over the last weekend. I played Grey Knights, the same exact list I talked about on the channel a few days ago, and I went 2-2-1. I think looking back at it, I probably should have been 3-2. My 2 losses, I think, were very legitimate, and I don't know there was a ton I could have done differently. But yeah, I want to talk about my experience at the event, how my matchups felt, and then kind of the metagame as a whole, along with where I feel Grey Knights are. So, feel free to skip ahead of the part you care about. But first thing I want to talk about is my matchups. So, round 1, I played against Host Eldar, played by Jack Harpster, a very, very good player. He was able to kind of shoot into my deployment zone turn 1 on Search and Destroy with some Fire Dragons and Lickass, whatever, however you say it. And really it hurt me out when he went first. He killed a Dread Knight, a Razorback, and effectively my whole 5-map Purifier unit on turn 1, going like 23 inches with the Wave Serpent. And for those of you who don't know, Host Eldar has access to 2 different ways to get back into a transport after they've shot, between the actual strat for it and then a fire and fade move. So he was able to basically position one of them up against the wall with 10 Fire Dragons and Fugan, hop out of it, shoot and kill a lot of stuff from a pretty tight angle. He killed a Dread Knight, Razorback, and the Purifier unit, and then at 1 CP hop back into his transport. So that really hurt. Looking back on it, the major difference I could have done was had my Scout 6 Strike Marine unit scout onto that wall where he flew up. It was layout 6, so on Surge, so I didn't have a ton of room to do it, but I could have had that unit kind of sit on that wall so he couldn't have jumped over it, which would have made his turn 1 a lot harder to do for free, which he was able to do. I think I lost that game by like 30 or 40 points. Very unfortunate. A couple of things were unlucky on my part over the course of that game, but I definitely believe I was supposed to lose that one. Round 2, I played against World Eaters. Brian Malpass, a very, very good player. He also played at Worlds. He was playing pretty standard Berserker Warband World Eaters with a 6-man brick of Exalted 8-bound, Triple Forge Fiend. Nothing super different there. Was on Purge the Foe and I went first. So even though I had like a 25-point lead going into the final turn of the game, I only won by about 7. But I felt like I was in control of that game for the most part. And I was able to win with a few Dread Knights left and some other guys running around the board. So that was a great game. Awesome opponent. My next game was against Demonic Incursion, Greater Demon Spam. Basically, he's got the 4-up Feel No Pain Guo, and if you guys don't know, if you're playing Grey Knights, that thing's basically invincible. It's like impossible to kill. My advice would be into that matchup, just ignore it, kill everything else, jump around the table. It was that, Bloodthirster, Scarbrand, Bellicor, a Lord of Change, and then some other random scoring stuff. I really won that game just by being more mobile than him, jumping around the board, taking his home point. There was a few instances where the Guo got through 2 wounds. 2 different times they got through 2 wounds on a Dread Knight and rolled exactly a 5 and a 6 to 1-tap the Dread Knight in scenarios where that should never have happened. So I did only win by 1 point. However, I believe that I got a little lucky there, so it probably would have been a little bit of a bigger win for me. But overall, it was a great game. Kind of showcases a little bit of the power creep in Grey Knights right now, where they just have a really hard time killing those T11 bodies. Moving on to my next matchup, it was against Michael Mann, another Art of War player. He was playing Thousand Suns, and Thousand Suns is just a terrible matchup for Grey Knights. I think before Thousand Suns' new book, Grey Knights could kind of keep up with them pretty well just because they didn't have as much stuff. But now they just have a ton of stuff. They have literally no problem at all just picking NDKs up, which if an army can do that, they can beat Grey Knights pretty efficiently. Magnus on layout 1 was just jumping 22 inches across the table, killing NDKs. His go turn, he picked up 3 of them and left 1-on-1. So it was really, really unfortunate for me. I think if I was to replay that matchup again, I would be even more cagey because I was going second. So I would have sat even further back and tried to play for bottom turn even more than I tried to. It's just really hard because whenever you line up a bunch of Dread Knights to shoot like Magnus or a Vortex Beast, they just go 1 CP for 4-up Feel No Pain. Now all of a sudden, the Vortex Beast doubles in wounds, basically, which is really hard for Draenei to chew through. And the rest of the profiles just have a hard time killing anything that's 4 invulnerable. And then wounding it on 4 already, so it didn't feel great. My stuff is just really expensive. But overall, Thalass's matchup, I would say, is red for sure, especially because the character Demon Prince gets to full reroll everything with Arcane Vortex into the character Dread Knight. So that was that matchup. I think I lost by about 20, 25. If I played even cagier and even further back, I could have definitely kept that game to probably like a 10-10 team or maybe like a 9-11 team's loss. But overall, that game felt like it was what it was supposed to be. And then my final round of the weekend was against Admech Host Eldar, also playing a bunch of Fire Dragons with a 10-man brick with Fugan. That game was very cagey. We played back and forth. It was super close the whole game, and it was just Terraform. Nothing really crazy of note, honestly. Just a really close game. And I won by one. I tied. We tied because he was able to Terraform at the bottom of 5. So overall, 2-2-1, probably 3-2. I think that's about right. So this next part here is where I'm talking about Grey Knights and where I think they're at in the metagame. So very sad. Very sad to say this. Grey Knights are probably my favorite faction to play, but them are orcs, obviously. But I think right now, if you have a second army to play and you're playing in GTs or you're trying to win, I think it's time that we have put the Grey Knights away. I am going to be putting them on the shelf until basically they get the new codex. I think that with Knights and Chaos Knights catching Crossfire with everyone teching into last cannons and effective ways to kill Knights, Grey Knights just are getting cooked on accident when they already were about a 50% win rate army. They're getting cooked with the Crossfire of last cannons and things that'll killing big Knights. NDK being 210 points is just it's just criminal, I think, at this point. When the new book is going to probably solve all that stuff. Right now, obviously, Grey Knights can win. I'm not saying Grey Knights are terrible, but for how hard I had to work for my wins and how tight those games were, and I think I played really well. I think the army is in a spot where it's time to have it rest. It doesn't have a good matchup into the meta. It doesn't beat Knights, doesn't beat Death Guard, doesn't beat Thousand Suns. It struggles in the Chaos Knights, and then everyone else that's left is built to kill that. So I just think that I'm going to be taking a break with Grey Knights for a while. I love the faction, and you better believe that their new codex is going to be cracked. I hope that it is, and I can't wait to play it. But right now, I expect a lot more orc content from me, or maybe even like Emperor's Children, just for the next couple months until we get the new book. So very sad to say that. I love my Grey Knights, but I'm tired of having to pretty much make 0 mistakes and barely win some games just because the damage isn't there and all my stuff is too expensive. So gonna move on to another faction. Not salty or anything, just it's time to accept. Gonna play some more orcs or without Emperor's Children, I think. So all right, so overall thoughts on the GT. Number one, I mentioned at the beginning, it was a fantastically ran event. Every opponent I had was awesome. The meta is very clear, and it looks like we're going to be looking at a Chaos Knight, Imperial Knight, Thousand Suns, Death Guard type of meta, and then Genestealer Cult won the event, if I haven't mentioned it already. GSC is probably the best army in the game. I think that at a high level, a lot of people agree, because Chaos Knights have a hard time killing GSC, and GSC destroys Imperial Knights really well. And while all this is happening, everybody in the meta is shifting their factions to try and deal with Imperial Knights or like those types of bodies, which means that the 3-point Acolyte getting eviscerated by a last cannon is not really affecting anything. Ricky, I think the last name. Fantastic Genestealer player, probably the best Genestealer player in the world, honestly. He won the GT, and he played fantastic. He beat Jack, he beat Knight players. Just with Genestealer Cult, I've watched him play many games on TTS, so I'm glazing Tucker a little bit. So if you're watching Tucker, shout out to you. But he's a great player. He plays GSC pretty much perfectly, and I would expect GSC to be like I don't even want to say rogue pick, but the counter meta pick is definitely GSC right now, or other horde type stuff that has the capacity to kill a knight. Another army that probably is going to be sneaky good is Admech with all their move blocking and the bats. I'm probably be trying them out a little bit because I'm a huge fan of that unit move blocking and stuff. But that faction feels really well. And then maybe like Orc Greentide or something like that. But Orc Greentide has the durability, I think, to take a few rounds of shooting from the meta factions. The problem is, unlike GSC and Admech, they can't kill it back. They just kind of exist, do something, and then they die, and you like maybe get like a 10-10. But you know, that's where we're at, I think, right now for the meta game. It feels good, honestly. It's just not a place for Grey Knights, and it's really not a great place for Orcs, to be honest. But I'm gonna keep ramming my head against the wall with Orcs and kind of see what happens. But that's really like the major recap for the weekend, guys. So thank you for watching, and I am going to be going to ATC this Thursday, so I should post the video of the army that I'm playing, which is going to be Orcs, a very fun Warhorde list I'll be playing up there. And then I also have a pretty interesting little different silent video. It's like a would you rather Warhammer 40k video coming out, so stick around, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you in the next one.